Allow the two it's okay. Off your mind, it's okay. She off your mind, like me.
Chai! Now wow, people wey suppose talk through to power don't off mic. And if we talk, now 500,000 they go summer us, call them hate speech. But fear not, my ego don't come. Ingo torchlight every corner, nooks and cranny of all these bad people where they spoil our country. So my people make we loud, oh, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo. My people make we shout, oh, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo. My ego don't come, man of the masses, oh, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo. Politico, this one not the off in mind. And in the touchlight every corner. Okay, some people be they holla say they want the power. Them be promise us say we go get light and power. Them hustle sote they can't get the power. But now they know they do anything with the power. Every day, dollar just they get the higher power over naira. See them talk say make we off mind. But thank God say my ego don't come. So my people make you loud, oh, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo. My people make we shout, oh, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo. My ego don't come, man of the masses, oh, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo. My ego die politico, oh, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo. This one not they off in mind, oh, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo. Person where they do evil, no one make person talk. Them say that my yegun, that man too they talk. He too they talk. Say my yegun diary, he they hot like pepper. But every day then they take money in bulk. Woman picking, they the street they hawk. Still them talk say make we no talk. But thank God say my yegun don't come. So my people make you loud, oh, yo. My yegun don't come, oh, yo. My people make you shout, oh, yo. My yegun don't come, oh, yo. Man of the masses, my ego don't come, my ego diary politico, my ego don't come, this man not the off in mind, my ego don't come, aha, now you not done here, all these bad politicians, them we call themselves politicians. When they thief our money, we no want to make the common man get what he supposed get for this country. And I never hear something. Now go hear one, my ego. You go show na paper. My ego diary political.
Hello there. Good morning to you, good afternoon to you, and good evening to you from wherever you are watching from. This is Mayegun Live.
Lórí Facebook, lórí YouTube, Mayegun Diary, Mayegun gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Mayegun já wa sí. Mayegun Diary, Mayegun àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í bò ní.
Let me know if this audio is perfect. Before we continue, I am still battling with all this freezing as well, by the way.
Mayegun máa wí, Mayegun Diary, Mayegun ó sì tún ṣe eré wàá gbọ́ níbẹ̀ o. Mayegun Diary, Mayegun Diary politico.
Share this broadcast. Invite your friends. Invite your not so friendly friends and tell them that Mayegun today.
Mayegun Diary, ẹ fara balẹ̀ sẹ́ o kẹgọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu. Mayegun Diary, àní Mayegun làwa mọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun Diary,
Share the broadcast, read the caption, and then as well, like the broadcast, which is your own offering, going forward. We are going to start soon.
Facebook, and yes, like Lori YouTube, and yes, like
So tonight, I am going to be storytelling, or should I say telling story, in order to pass my message tonight. If you have read the caption of the broadcast, take your time and read the description as well of the broadcast. And I want to use what is going on in Russia to what is going on in Nigeria. Comparative analysis. If you are for it, share the broadcast.
I discussed with His Excellency the President about a couple of things. First, of course, is agriculture, to see what we can do to support the government with regard to the Mr. President's vision in agriculture. We discussed about special agro-industrial processing zones, for which we already have about $520 million for Nigeria, and how we are going to make sure that that project actually gets accelerated to give quick wins to the president. The other one that we talked about is the power sector. How we will bring support to support his efforts and his vision and that of his government with regard to how to improve the access. The president wants to make sure that there's access to electricity in Nigeria, and therefore he talked to us about how we can support him in that, and I gave him the assurance that we will support significantly the power sector in Nigeria. I discussed with the president also with regard to the industrial sector in Nigeria. I was impressed with his vision in terms of trying to grow industrial sector in Nigeria and to also have an export-oriented industrial manufacturing stance, which is very important for growing the forex for Nigeria. As I said to the president, we have to grow the forex for Nigeria, as opposed to just distributing small amount of forex that is available, have a more expansive view. The Excellency has that expansive view, and I was quite impressed. And finally, we discussed about the youth. I've heard him speak quite a lot about young people, his heart for young people and what he wants to do to support them. And he asked for our support with regard to what we can do for Nigeria on that. And I explained to the president that we will support with the establishment of youth entrepreneurship investment banks in Nigeria. These are going to be new financial institutions that will support the access to financing at scale, both whether it is in terms of debt or equity financing for businesses of young people in Nigeria. He has a desire to grow the wealth for young people, which is actually very good. And just to close, I had the opportunity just to commend him for what he said and the positions he took here at the summit on two critical issues. One of that has to do with the importance of using Nigeria's gas to manufacture fertilizers. And I think his position was supported by the Chancellor of Chancellor Scholz of Germany on the need for using natural gas.
Everything he's saying is lying, so you know, by the way. Thank you very much. You know, just so you know, if this broadcast freezes, I can always get back on, but I'll put on a video just in between to do that changeover, okay? I apologize in advance. I'll be very vigilant. You'll see me watching my side like that, just to be sure that I've not just been speaking into the, yeah. So, happy Sunday to you, to all of you who are still in Sunday. But to those of you who always want to listen to Mayegun's Diary Political Sunday Sermon, well, let's do it. But we are going to tell this story from the perspective of what is going on in Russia now. This is not me going to take you into all this Russia, but no. I'm just going to pick what I want to pick from there, right? That I believe are suitable to the message I want to pass across tonight. You have been reading about a possible coup going on in Russia. At least you know about Russia-Ukraine war, Abi. Now, like I said, this is not about Russia-Ukraine war. This is not even about a Russia coup. But there are some instances here that I want to bring out, like I said. You know Putin, right? The West want all of us to hate Putin. Is the bad guy, Abi. But lately, African countries, there seems to be kind of in love with Putin because he is considered as someone who is standing up against the rest of the West. That's the narrative, Abi. So, the war in Ukraine. And then you hear about the Wagners. Now, I want to talk about the Wagners and Putin. You know, Russia is the biggest country in the whole world. Sure you know. Therefore, with the biggest land. I'm sorry for all that blinking. Let me fix that. 1 second.
Nigeria belongs to all of you, all of us. Our diversity is an asset if we know how to use it for our prosperity. Born of the same father, in the same house, except living in different rooms. We must promote unity, stability, and economic justice for every one of us.
So Russia, being a very big country, is also a kind of a country. I mean, it's a country with a nuclear edge, which makes them even more powerful militarily. But the power that, just like America, you have America, very powerful militarily. It's the powerful country, most powerful country in the world militarily. But that is the military weapons that you can see. That's not just what makes America or Russia militarily powerful. When they manufacture weapons, they don't manufacture them just to protect themselves. They manufacture to even sell to the rest of the world. That's when you'll be hearing about Russian weapons, Chinese weapons, American weapons. They are all looking for customers all over the world. But you see, as they were, I know that of America, and this is this of the Russia too. As they are exporting weapons and weaponry all over the world for same reason, they are also exporting their own citizens as fighters, where they send some of these weapons to. So when you hear about American soldiers, American military, American this, American that, you also have America Industrial Complex. These are also private companies. They are soldiers too. They are soldiers trained to fight war and do weapons. But they are not American army. They are private. So what they mostly do is that in most cases, they also serve and work in war fronts where they are contracted to be an extra to anywhere America is having interest. So Russia, this big Russia, they have their own Russian mercenaries. In America, I believe they call them mercenaries too. Contract soldiers, contract fighters. They fight war. They fly jets. They do all things that the conventional soldiers will do. But they don't just get paid by the government, but they get paid through the company that gets those military contracts. Like I said, this is me I'm going to relate their story to what is going on in Nigeria and tell you that the Wagners you have in Nigeria, okay, we'll get to that. Don't let us jump the gun. So in Russia, you have a man called, the leader of this Wagner group. Is one of those oligarchs, people with money. And where did he make his money from? He started his own security group a while back, where he could be a contractor, not just to Russia, okay, but to any country or government all over the world ready to pay their bill. So he made his money from recruiting and training Russian, Belarusian, and all these guys from all these axes into a company name that can sign contracts with government of countries. So he's like that big guy. But it wouldn't be who he is. Not like that of America, America, the most corrupt country in the world, we never tell you that they are the most corrupt country in the world. Okay? You see, they set up this enterprise whereby, you know what I mean, like they could take the job of the normal soldiers and they call it supplementary military contracts. It's not corruption. But according to the West, same thing in Russia. And you need to be kind of part of the entire system before you can set up any security outfit that can actually be of that magnitude to take a contract from the Pentagon in America. You get what I mean? Like big stuff, big guys.
Let's be poor. Breathe. Don't suffocate them. We have that responsibility. Let's be poor. Breathe. Don't suffocate them. We have that responsibility. Let's be poor. Breathe. Don't suffocate them. We have that responsibility.
So you get the picture I'm painting, right? So now, in Russia, Putin and this guy, they are the best pals. Putin has his own wars that he is fighting with, within that Crimea, Ukraine, and the rest of them. So when the Ukrainian war started, this guy is already his army, the his army, right? The Wagners, rather, the Wagners group, they have been very much active in different conflicts all over Africa, where they have come in to serve as, mercenaries to help government fight rebels. They have been to Nigeria too. You remember when Jonathan brought in South African mercenaries to come and chase away Boko Haram before the elections in 2015. So these are guys, you have them. South Africa is also where, armed, I don't know if they are a nuclear nation, but they also manufacture weapons, right? Like in a big way. So which means they just don't export their weapons. They also export mercenaries. But when it comes to Russia, Putin, they believe which Russian government is believed to be very, very corrupt. Very corrupt. So which means favoritism and nepotism and other stuff, right? So this guy, Yuvgeny, that's his name, Yuvgeny Prigozhin, or Prigozhin, but let's call him Yuvgeny. Now, Yuvgeny, having been so close to Russia president, which is Putin, he was able to get that kind of, like, American, or let's say Pentagon-backed kind of support. It's like if you're an American military contractor, okay, and you have that backing from the Pentagon, that kind of confidence that you can trade anywhere. You know what I mean, right? So this gave this guy. So when the Ukrainian war started, and they were mobilizing the Russians for this Ukrainian war, right? Yuvgeny was also called to mobilize his soldiers. They had to call all of his other soldiers from all parts of the world to come back to Russia, and they mobilized. When the war got heated, there was a place called Bakhmut. This Bakhmut is a Ukrainian territory. It was like, the worst of the worst part of the war. So, well, back then, this guy was brutal. His soldiers were merciless. Women, it was horrible. But he was doing all of this with the backing and authorization of the president, which is Putin. Is loyal to Putin. They believe that everything he has become was because of Putin. But immediately after that Bakhmut war, battle, and they defeated the Ukrainians there, okay, and they took over the place, his popularity grew. His popularity, his outspokenness, his status grew. And so the disdain for him and Putin also increased. And they were in the West. It was declared wanted. It was declared a terrorist. It was declared so many things, just so you know, for the atrocity they committed. And he was wearing the medal that he defeated Ukrainians in Bakhmut. So therefore, he deserves a seat on that table. Where are the Russian soldiers? Where are the Russian generals? Where are the Russian big men who sit in Moscow? They sit down there in St. Petersburg, making decisions and sending people to their death. That was when he started questioning. Remember, he's loyal to Putin. He's believed to be fighting Putin war. But he felt like he was being treated like he's just a mercenary. He's just a thug that they are using. You know what I mean? And it's one kind of big cycle like those you have in Nigeria. So having legitimized who he is, at this point, everyone is welcome to table any offer in case if he decides to switch side. Now he has tested something in real time and it worked. So 3 days ago, something happened. The rumor started that the Russian military or the Russian generals, they ordered the execution of all of the Wagner's group by bombing their location. And, they said they've heard that they are done with them. They want to they want to kill them. Which people thought or believed that was a lie or a rumor that he intentionally started. That is Yuvgeny. So, 3 days ago, they said they are marching down to Moscow to take over from the military generals who are like Putin general too. What is going on? Is this a game of chess? There were other rumors, though. That's why I said the story tonight is not about them. I just need to tell you this. Who is Yuvgeny? And how did it become so powerful? Like you have been reading about in the last few hours or in the last 36 hours. So when he started the movie, they said, instead of Russian generals killing them, they are moving down. Moving down for what? Is this a coup? Is this a mutiny? Remember, they are just mercenaries. They are not like the proper Russian soldiers who fight. They are just mere fighters. Like, what's going on? They kept moving. They got to a place called Rostov. And it was like moving from the western part of Russia, moving straight up north in that convoy. What was going to happen? Is Putin about to be overthrown? Is Putin power coming to an end? And so many other things. Then when they got to a place, 200 kilometers to Moscow, they turned back. What happened? Oh, Lushenko or someone from, a Belarusian dictator has negotiated with this guy who said he was going to take over Moscow. But take over Moscow as in what? Government. Because a few weeks ago or so, or a few months ago, Putin moved few of their nuclear bombs, moved them straight to where this Yuvgeny is. Is closer to the bomb. Is it taking over as the president of Russia? You know what I mean? The North said, no, it was a trick played, blah, 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 blah. Or, hey, we'll leave it at that. Now, you know who Yuvgeny is, Abi? Because finally, when the old dust settled, okay, they had to make a deal where they won't prosecute any of them, but they would need to leave Russia, himself and all his fighters. So he would have to relocate to Belarus, or for now, return back to their base where they are fighting the war, 100 kilometers to Kiev, right? And after the war, everything, they will have to move down to Africa or anywhere else, not Russia. Okay? But let's go to Nigeria. In Russia and America, when they manufacture all their weapons, they look for where to sell them in the world. You get what I mean? Like, who is ready to buy? Which country is ready to kill themselves and face them, nuke themselves? Or do you even need help? We can send mercenaries to help you complete that job. You know what I mean? They will never sell the same to anybody in their country. And guess what? When they train mercenaries, they don't train them to work to be in their country or do any job, because there's no job for them there. But you see, in Nigeria or Africa, it is a different ball game. Here is one. Terrorism or criminality in Nigeria is also state-sponsored. But the difference is that we don't export any of our own weapon of mass destruction. We weaponize them, we amplify them, and we use them on ourselves to exterminate ourselves, as long as those in power are the ones in control. I'll tell you this. Despite the billions upon billions of dollars worth of weapons that Nigeria has been kind of paying and buying and all that, it will be so sad for you to realize that the same Nigeria, or should I say, the same Nigerian security agents and the government, right, they have been unable to end the ragtag terrorists who are, we believe, they are not mercenaries. They are a bunch of criminals sponsored, powered, and backed by the same politicians, all for politics and power. Unleash the terror on your people, right? And then pretend to be fighting it. Let me tell you something. In Nigeria, where we used to have Boko Haram, it was the news everywhere. Boko Haram, Nigeria, Boko Haram. Today, you have hundreds of other terrorist groups sponsored by different political organizations in Nigeria, or politicians themselves. And while the people continue to be the victims of all this terrorism. Now, look at it. In Nigeria, when Boko Haram was in power, for the first time in my life, I saw terrorists walked into government house on a red carpet and was giving speech inside government house where all the senior security chiefs were on seats, senior politicians and the political office holders, they were on seats. And this terrorist was like, that happened. It was on this, during this Boko Haram time that I saw soldiers, Nigerian soldiers, running away from their barracks because they have heard that some terrorists are coming to invade their barracks. Nothing like preparing for war, mounting all these sandbags and all of that, getting ready to shoot until the last man standing. No, they ran away. Then it was under Bukuwari that we also witnessed that terrorists have spokespersons. Their leaders were granting interviews, telling people the reason why they are killing Nigerians. Okay? And in most of their interviews, they all said same thing that is similar. They all had relationship, and they have relationship.
What's going on, Christian? Many people are in the bank because many people are dying. Everything are doing. Pressure ti wà. Mbazo Yorùbá. Gbogbo nǹkan ṣẹlẹ̀ Louis. Pressure ti wà. Ẹ̀yin gbogbo ṣe sọ. Ṣé ìlú lé? I know what so what the lazy youth. Now I so what the lazy youth. Only more one time we Timmy only lobby say. Because many people are in the bank.
Sorry about that. So where countries like America, Russia, they understand what exists in their country, and they understand. Where that they know that, okay, this ones you have gangs, you have this and that. But when it comes to the national security, the security of your country, you get to know where the danger lies. And what do? You take control of it, so as never for them to even make any drop of a national threat that will be so obvious. Abi, not in Nigeria. We have seen terrorists who have granted interviews. We have seen terrorists who have been given chieftaincy titles. We have seen terrorists in Nigeria who walked into government house and they walked out with hundreds of millions of Nigerian naira. And they are not even ashamed to announce it. They call it a deal, peace deal, and that. And we get to know that instead of exporting this act of terror that these criminals have created, they will rather domesticate them. You get what I mean? To continue to kill Nigerians. Take a look at this one. This guy killed so much in Nigeria that it was like, I am so tired of killing. I could just go out and kill people. They made him a chief in Zamfara. They made him a titled chief.
Gwamnatanci akwai hilanin waɗanda har masu digiri akwai. Yau in za ka zo za ka yin jarabawa da Bahaushe. An boko amana shi aka ci. Da Bahaushe. Wallahi tallahi sai in suna kuna ku guda bahilla ce wallahi in Bahaushe na dubu wallahi sai an musu hanya da sun kauce an ba bahilla ce na ƙasa gaban zadu. Ba mu da gatancin mu Allah shi a gatan mu wallahi tallahi shi ya kawo muna dukkan ga bahilla ce ya koma ya shiga da aka cewa ta'addanci ko kuma bandits da aka magana to bandits ba wani bandits wallahi tallahi gwamnatota su a bandits.
Ka ɗauki kamar mutum nawa a kidnapping?
Ani ban taɓa ɗauko mutum ba. Sai dai yara. Amma ni da kaina ban taɓa ɗauko mutum ba sai dai in je harbe shi.
Ka harbi kamar mutum nawa? Ka harbi kamar mutum nawa?
To gaskiya yan banga kan tsakani da Allah da Annabi wanda na kashe gaskiya gaskiya tsakanin da Allah gaskiya ban san iyakar su ba yanzu.
Gwamnatanci
Gaskia de Allah is lost count, killing vigilantes that are working to provide security for the people of northern Nigeria, where Nigerian security men and women have been kind of off their own duty posts. Now let me show you who Yuvgeny is. When he talks, you won't understand what he's saying if you are not Russian. Take a look at the old man.
Мы находимся в штабе. 7 часов 30 минут утра, под контролем военные объекты Ростова, в том числе аэродром. Самолеты, которые уходят для боевой работы, уходят штатно, проблем никаких нету. Санитарные борта уходят, проблем нет. Все, что делается, это мы взяли под контроль, чтобы штурмовая авиация не наносила удары по нам, а наносила по украинцам. Главный штаб управления, главный пункт управления работает в штатном режиме. Проблем никаких нет, ни один офицер не оторван. Поэтому, когда вам будут рассказывать о том, что ЧВК «Вагнер» помешало работе, и поэтому на фронте что-то посыпалось, на фронте посыпалось не поэтому. когда мы пришли сюда.
Because I know I'm going to get probably some few copyright feedback from that. That's why I didn't want to show you much of their clip from that Russia. But that's how he talks. That's him. He's a multi-billionaire. Like he's got so much money. And he made his money from fighting war. Other people's war. So why he felt like he was going to, like, you know, take over Russia and then turn back and all of that is left for those who are going to make their research. But it was pretty much condemning the military, saying that they have failed to defend, you know, Russia, but he stood and defended and fought for Russia. So they sat there in their fat asses making decisions, and now they decided to kill his people. That guy has over 50,000 men fighting for him. He's a legion on his own. Right? So are many of these terrorists in northern Nigeria. Let me show you another instance where you see terrorists inside government house. Okay, that one is not government house. Okay, look at this one.
Ya taho ranar talata an rantsar da shi ranar laraba kan da aka yi ga rantsar da gwamna akwai gari sama da gari 80 waɗanda aka sa kan layi don ranar da aka sha ruwa za a yi masu lebur ba soja aka aje komi ne sannan wannan gari na birnin magaji shi abdes.
I mean, they don't burn any soldier well. I came here because we believe that we want to work on peace. That's why I came here. No Nigerians, no nothing. Nigerian soldiers or Nigerian military got so ridiculed under a retired soldier, retired demigod. Anyway, here is another one. You know this one now? This one was telling all of them that he decided to come here on his own volition. These are people who have murdered people, Nigerians inside Nigeria, killed them, took them hostage, collected ransom, and the person in charge of Nigeria then, Bukwari, was also from northern Nigeria, and he was a retired soldier. You remember this guy?
na san dai kullu nafsu zai katal mautu shi dai kawai mai duni banda shi wallahi ga irin wannan Musa ta gadin ban yi ba ban san za a yi ba zo ana nema na a ce ko an yi sulhi ba za a sulhunta da ni ba wallahi tallahi da ban bari hadin mutu wallahi ne ga muku don ga dai inda nake zanne wallahi ba katun da ya kama ni wai ta kama ni ga hannu ko ni na ta son Allah ya badda mai yan banga rana su je su isko ni wurin kamo ni su gani uban wani za su iskowa suna kallo na kana ga lalle in ka rike ni kana iya hadi ni amma ni ko bala'in da nake rike na iya hadi ka ko shi kuma an yadda da ka kare mutum.
He was telling them to their faces there. Nobody, even where I am here, all these soldiers, all of you wait there here, you know if you hold me. If I vex for here, but I just don't want vex. I'm still coming on. Here is another one. This one speaks in English. At least you can hear him. I mean, hearing me clearly.
Oil theft and vandalization in the Niger Delta. We are going to work with NNPC, PCL, and the IOCs to make sure that oil theft is brought to zero. I also want to say that oil theft is encouraged by the military. The military is at the center of oil theft. And we have to make this very, very clear to the Nigerian public. 99% of oil theft can be traced to the Nigerian military, the Army and the Navy especially. The Army and the Navy intimidate the civil defense, who are by status the people who are supposed to guard these pipelines. They receive a lot of money from NNPC, PCL, and the IOCs, and just across the corner, you will see a houseboat. A few meters from the houseboat, you will see an oil bunkering refinery or tapping directly from oil well heads. It is very pathetic now. What is happening in the Niger Delta in the past 8 years was unprecedented in the history of oil production anywhere in the world. The vandals do not only attack the pipelines, they have migrated from the pipeline and have gone directly to the oil well heads. The president is a strong president. He's the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. He's going to take decisive action to get these rotten eggs. It's not the old army and the navy. There are a few who have this entitlement mentality. I better persona, I get power persona, I get people where they up, where go to cover me. The president is going to remove them and make it possible for the people of this country to benefit. For instance, Emefiele is gone, Bauer is gone, so more heads will roll. Those who are standing as an impediment to the good and progress of this country. The president will not dally-dally with them. He will not do sissy with them. He's going to put and kick them out. And when he does that,
and that is coming from the leader of Asari Dokubo, another armed group of terrorists in Nigeria, but they are close to government. Like I said, you know, they will replace institutions because the institutions are corrupt, okay? And when they replace institutions, they will have license to own guns and more guns. And these are the mercenaries that can indeed stage a coup. I'm still coming, oh. I mean, take a look at this. Odia Bali. Do you get that? Like I said, it is a storytelling night that start from somewhere and links or lead us to somewhere. Now you see the personality of Asari. Do you know what is different? That he has been collecting contracts from Bokwari, providing security according to the government of Nigeria. Despite Nigeria buying weapons here and there, we don't know what level of contracts the likes of Asari. It's not just Asari. There are many, many like him too. They are not just making noise about it. Most of these terrorists that they say repented, a lot of them have been offered to provide security for the victims that they traumatized or killed their relatives. I'm not joking about this. They are actually, like they said, they are rehabilitating them in order to recruit them into helping to stop terrorism, and in a way which is provide security, which has never worked. So the bottom line is that the likes of Asari, Tompolo, Boyloof, and the rest of all those guys in that creek, they have contracts with government of Nigeria to provide security in some part of Nigeria, which allow them to buy weapons. We don't know what kind of deal, we don't know what kind of weapons they're allowed to buy. The story they tell us all the time is that there is small arms proliferation in Nigeria, which has increased crime, and indeed, the criminals are more armed than the government of, than the security in Nigeria. They told us. So in one of their expose, take a look at this. This one was addressing government officials, also in Nigeria, about 2 years back, when Bokwari was the president of Nigeria. If you have time.
Wuta duk wanda ya taba ya san ba daɗi wallahi shi yasa an kaba mun ka dawo nan muna yin gida ni kira emiya gashi wanda an ka kai wanda an gusa yanzu wanda an ka ci ni ce mai mu ya zaman lahiya da shi ni ba ta addanci yan maido ne kaza ba iyaka ta zama ta da kasa in zanna da uwaye na lahiya hudda ta in kama yi kasa in yarji na ce mai ta da kasa ta in dai ni zan yanka mai kira uwaye na faɗa musu namu na kunci yace mai in dai shi zai zama da dan ta'adda har duniya ta nadi bai zama da shi ko ba a yi haka ba ni ko kashe wayata ni cire layi na ni birkice ni aje waya daga ran nan ban ƙara waya ni kyale sai dai in waya da waya ya ruri ni kashe wayata sai da an ka ɗebi wata 3 jami'ai ya turu sojoji an ka kai su dumburo an ka aji ko ba a kai su dumburo an ka aji ba ni kyale su ina gindin hanyar gidana na gindin hanyar sun ka wuce ni kyale su ni jaye gidana da nan ne zanni na ni jaye mata na nan ne zanni na ni kadai ya ruri marece yayi sun cika kwana 4 marece sun ka dawo za sun dawo da gusau ni ci uban su ran nan da sahi an kayo man sakko da kunkurai ni toye guda saura na ceri ni kashe rabi wata ran mangare ba ta ƙara yi sun ka bidangi sun ka kwanta ma ƴan uwana sun kawo man dauki sun ka kwanta ma ƴan uwana sun ka anshe musu babura da mangare ba ta yi ni kyale su da sun ka taho ni radadi su ni toye musu motoci daga nan emiya gane harakan nan sun ka haɗu da na Nijar sun ka taho ni kone musu kunkurin wanda suka ji shi ni toye ko ba a yi haka ba har gobe yana nan ba zai dauka in ni za a yi wallahi sai dai in ni nice masu su zo su dauka wallahi ba zai dauka.
That was 2 years ago. He was bragging about how he kind of have to dealing with soldiers. He was talking about Nigerian soldiers. And he was saying that to the team of government officials who came to come and kind of have a peace parley with them in Nigeria. Somebody said that Nigeria is self-destructive, right? It's always going to be like self-destruct, Abi. You are right. That's where this story is leading. We have homegrown terrorists that have connection with a government. And here you are, the same government want to fight terrorism. Okay? While the victims, Nigerians, are lining the streets, their bodies, right? Their properties, their homes being destroyed. This conflict of interest has not been probably spoken about enough. So the bottom line is that the government of Nigeria is making deals with an armed group of people because they could do their dirty job for them whenever they want to, wherever they want to. So, or wherever they want to. Here is another one of Asari saying that, listen.
We're job people who had come to support Ahmed Bola Tinubu and to protect the mandate we had given to him. We have been here for about 2 weeks. We've been going to the courts. We heard that some people are coming to disrupt the inauguration today. So since yesterday night, we have been on the street, guarding the periphery of the Eagle Square.
These people stay in Abuja, or they?
No, we came from the creeks. We came all the way from the creeks because we cannot allow a few people to truncate the mandate we had freely given to Ahmed Bola Tinubu. We voted for him, he won the elections, and we had come to defend the mandate, and that's what we're doing. You see, a lot of people, there are a lot of copycats. They want to copy this 6th of January event that Trump orchestrated in the United States of America. So we are a counterforce, and we're here, and alhamdulillah, they didn't come out. Because we told them, if you do anyhow, you will see anyhow. That's all. That's the slogan we came with from home. You do anyhow, you see anyhow.
Yes. What are your expectations from this?
So with clearance and possibly the movement of weapons, illegal weapons, that has been made legal, yeah, that's a license, isn't it? So the bottom line is that as much as a lot of you are very good at international politics and all of that and analyzing Russia, this, Russia, that, okay, I want you to kind of pay attention to what the criminal politicians in Nigeria have succeeded in entrenching. And it's just a matter of time. It's a matter of time. When, you know, one of these days they will say, somebody will come in and say, your military is useless. If they have these rebels with guns and they know what they are capable of, they can take down any government and all of that if they all come together, Abi. So they will become people that will say, well, they are more safer in the hand of these terrorists than your normal corrupt military. And if you think that is far-fetched and it is not a road to self-destruct, well, you have been following what happened there in Sudan. May I remind you, a quick one. You see that Yuvgeny that pretended to turn against Putin, is the product of Putin. Sure, you understand? Putin made him, and he's likely going to be the one to destroy him too, right? If you go to Sudan, you have to, I can't even remember their names right now because, yeah, the conversation just quickly diverted there. To give an example, in Sudan, when Omar al-Bashir was their president, he came in a coup to be their president. After the coup, and he succeeded other coup, he became paranoia that he could no longer even trust the security of, should I say, the military and whatever of Sudan. For some of the people who have been following what is going on, to
cikin 'yan takarar nan ina bin lafazin su, na ga lafazin wa'yansu suna jiran wai kawai a ba su mulki ne su ƙara makamai da za a mulkushe mayakanmu a cikin daji, mutanenmu a cikin daji. Shi ne kawai. Alhali muna so a sawo shugaban da zai zo a zauna da shi, a fahimtar da shi, a kira mutanen na a yi musu abin da ya kamata a yi musu don mu samu mai zaman lafiya. To cikin 'yan takarar nan ina bin lafazin su, na ga lafazin wa'yansu suna jiran wai kawai a ba su.
Sorry about that. Or sorry about that interruption, okay? So, Putin made Yuvgeny, made him this powerful, homegrown terrorist, but was not meant to terrorize the homeland. And he was meant to be a trained attack dog with other attack dogs that they will do what they are told to do. Until that happened, Abi. In Sudan, Omar al-Bashir, when he was also fighting his own proxy wars. Around the time, it was in Darfur and then, other part of Africa where you have this Janjaweed. Now, Janjaweed name sounds more like terrorist, Abi. Not in Sudan. Because when Omar al-Bashir, when he was fighting his imaginary enemies for years, they stood by him. When he was threatened with possibly power takeover, a coup, these guys came to defend him. And at some point, he actually, he made them his own personal presidential guard. They are the one protecting the president, not the military, not the police, not the secret police, nobody. Just these Janjaweed guys. And he actually
Nigeria belongs to all of you, all of us. Our diversity is an asset if we know how to use it for our prosperity. Born of the same father, in the same house, except living in different rooms. We must promote unity, stability, and economic justice.
Thank you, Kolu, for coming in there for me. Right. Sorry about that once again. I don't know how many stories I'm going to say tonight, but I just have to kind of, but we'll do this, all right? So these Janjaweed guys became very, very powerful. Their leader became so powerful that the richest mine in Sudan, it was the one controlling it, using that to fund his own army. With the authority, with the authorization of the president, who can challenge him? Nobody. So when the uprising in Sudan started and Omar al-Bashir was to go, the leader of these Janjaweed guys didn't waste time in switching side, joining those who were going to nail Omar. When Omar al-Bashir was gone, they now said they were going to share power. That was what brought him to very close to the seat of power in Sudan. And today, you know what Sudan is now, Abi? So it won't start overnight. Things, you need to know that some of these things won't start overnight. But for those who know where this is headed, like many other things, right? Self-destruct, but time will tell. Oh. So once they come out to say, yeah, the military is this and that, we will do the better job, it is going to be a matter of time before they amass enough weapons, more than that of, possibly more than that of the country. Because they are ready to fight and die. But Nigerian soldiers and the rest of them probably want to fight and keep their pension that they may never get anyway. There's something there motivating them than what is motivating those who are to fight. So no wonder military soldiers were dropping their guns and running away from their own barracks, leaving their weapons behind because some ragtag criminals were approaching to kill them. So what will happen is this. One person will come in someday soon. All right? And once these guys have amassed enough weapons and they have enough army, they're not going to chip them out. They're going to use them within Nigeria for the same purpose, for power grab. And every time I see the videos or if I see the interviews of all these guys on TV, in government buildings, and I'm like, you know what? It is just a matter of time before they are going to be given uniforms and ID card. They will tell you they are more reliable than your unreliable, corrupt security agencies and all that. Meanwhile, the corrupt security agencies that you have in Nigeria, military, police, soldiers, and the rest of them, they are also the reflection of the corrupt and bad leadership that you have in the country. So when you have bad leadership, the effect of that is like it's going to trickle down that way very bad. And once all the institutions are all compromised, so won't you want to try the alternatives that they will create for you? The people they are secretly arming. They are harming them, giving them access to weapons. You have no idea. I mean, What will end it? Civil war, because that's exactly what was expected in Russia yesterday, until they said it's an act of war and it's a Russian roulette. It's this and that. Everybody who knows it's a game of deceit or distraction, whatever you called it. All right, just think about this for a moment. It was a flop, number one. But if you don't see it that way, I know where you come from. But think about this for a moment. There are some guys, who came back from Afghanistan in America. They are so pissed with the corruption in Pentagon and then the corruption in Washington. They are so pissed that they decided to just pick all their guns and their weapons, get some armored tank and all of that, and they start marching from Texas, and they are going to Washington. Just think about that for a moment. That happened in America. That you have about 50,000, not all of them, but let's say you have about 10,000 armed soldiers, and they say they are driving to Washington to deal with the corrupt politicians, deal with the corrupt this and that. And you begin to read it in the news that Joe Biden has been flown to, he has been flown out of Washington. Or Joe Biden, or Joe Biden start making a broadcast to say, we know some people who are, what they are doing is act of treason and all of that, like Putin did. Just think about that for a moment and then turn around and say, oh, it's just a game. That they've taken over, let's say they've taken over about 4 or 5 states. And they are not far from Washington anymore. And the news is like, oh, they are close to this, or they are close to Washington. Like, you know what I mean? Then you turn around and say, oh, it's a game to distract the Iraqis, to make them feel like, though it may not be of the same context, but what I'm trying to say is that Russia, America, China, there are some certain things that should never be tried, ever. So you get, because once they happen, whatever you want to prove or say afterward, even internally, you'll be like, it will remain with you and say, wow, how dare anybody to even say they want to try anything inside Russia or inside America and say they want to challenge? You know what I mean? No matter what anybody feels. But you will witness that in Nigeria one day, someday, when you have all these lifeless criminals, chancers, whose only mission is to take whatever they can take from you now, including if they have to take your life. And that's why when I heard this guy lying, I was like, no, he's lying. Why are you lying? Akinwumi Adesina. You remember this guy? He was everywhere with Bokwari. You remember all those central bank loan? The one they are doing anchors borrowers for agriculture. Akinwumi Adesina is the former Minister of Agriculture in Nigeria. Is one of the best that they said should ordinarily be running for the presidency of Nigeria. Smart, intelligent, articulate, go-getter, and then an executive of top bank in Africa. Come on. But they are all a bunch of liars. Adesina is a liar. You know what? He was lying that he met with Tifnumbu. And Tifnumbu came to France he did this and that. All those repetitive nonsense, But everybody is asking, where is Tifnumbu? Where did he say that? How come Tifnumbu only said that to you and said that to this? And he didn't say that publicly for everybody to hear him. The same way we heard the Kenya, his own style is different. Did you know that Kolu was meant to also speak? That it was one of those listed as those who were supposed to speak at that Paris meeting. He was meant to speak, but he ran away with his tails between his legs. So when Akinwumi Adesina started that lies, I was like, no, come on, man. You told people about Bokwari. You were the people saying Bokwari meant well. Everywhere you saw Bokwari, then you will see this Adesina. He was everywhere telling, and they were like, they are working to make Nigeria better. He's a great person, he's a great guy. At the end of the day, they loaned Nigeria under Bokwari billions of dollars. That is part of the debt of Nigeria today. One prominent one among them is the 1.6 trillion naira anchors borrowers program. That's like over $2 billion. that this additional facilitated for Bokwari. They wanted to improve agriculture. They wanted to improve youth development. They wanted to improve the economy. So he gave the loan of over 2 billion to Bokwari. And guess what happened? 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 Guess what happened?
I discussed with His Excellency the President about a couple of things. First, of course, is agriculture, to see what we can do to support the government with regard to the Mr. President's vision in agriculture. We discussed about special agro-industrial processing zones, for which we already have about $520 million for Nigeria, and how we are going to make sure that that project actually gets accelerated to give quick wins to the president. The other one that we talked about is the power sector. How we will bring support to support his efforts and his vision and that of his government with regard to how to improve the access. The president wants to make sure that there's access to electricity in Nigeria, and therefore he talked to us about how we can support him in that, and I gave him the assurance that we will, support significantly the power sector in Nigeria. I discussed with the president also with regard to the industrial sector in Nigeria. I was impressed with his vision in terms of trying to grow industrial sector in Nigeria and to also have an export-oriented industrial manufacturing stance, which is very important for growing the forex for Nigeria. As I said to the president, we have to grow the forex for Nigeria, as opposed to just distributing small amount of forex that is available, have a more expansive view. The Excellency has that expansive view, and I was quite impressed. And finally, we discussed about the youth. I've heard him speak quite a lot about young people, his heart for young people and what he wants to do to support them. And he asked for our support with regard to what we can do for Nigeria on that. And I explained to the president that we will support with the establishment of youth entrepreneurship investment banks in Nigeria. These are going to be new financial institutions that will support the access to financing at scale, both whether it is in terms of debt or equity financing for businesses of young people in Nigeria. He has a desire to grow the wealth for young people, which is actually very good. And just to close, I had the opportunity just to commend him for what he said and the positions he took here at the summit on two critical issues. One of that has to do with the importance of using Nigeria's gas to manufacture fertilizers. And I think his position was supported by the Chancellor Scholz of Germany.
Did you see him touching his body, touching his glasses, doing all of that? He's lying. If you want to know when somebody is lying or trying to make things up in his head so that he can sound intelligent, okay? They'll be touching their eye. You think they are trying to make some. No, they are not. No, they are lying. In case if you don't know this, right? Check those who study people like me. If somebody is lying to you, once they are touching, they are talking, even if they are not blabbering, if they are not, you know what I mean? Once they are touching this and that, you know what I mean? They are lying. He is lying. Everyone who has followed this guy in the last 8 years, you will know that he is also part of the enablers of the criminality in Nigeria. Unfortunately, somebody said, listen to this patriotism. Listen to what he's saying. They are going to do something for the youth. They're going to do something about power. They're going to do something about agriculture. These were the same thing this guy was saying under Bokwari, and they were giving money. This was not just promises, so they were giving money. They were pumping money. Emefiele was collecting money from the African Development Bank, facilitated by this additional. Under Bokwari, how much of that money touched your hand as an entrepreneur, as a farmer? How much of it touched your hand? So when I see people like that, I just feel like, well, just, yeah. They dribble them, they go. They want to hear what you have to say. Tell them, he loves you so much. This guy was everywhere. London, Paris, America, China. Everywhere Bokwari was, you will see him. You will see him. And according to them, Bokwari was looking for investors to come to Nigeria to bring money and develop power sector, develop all this nonsense he's talking about. It's absolute nonsense. And you may not take it from me for now, but I know them very well. They'll tell you what you need to hear. Make the money they need to make, and Nigeria will pay the bill. That's exactly how it goes. You will pay the bill. 1.6 trillion naira for Anchor's borrowers program alone. They know 600 billion from the money. It got so bad that to prove that they have something to show, they decided to start, loading paddy rice, unprocessed rice. They started loading them to go and display them as a pyramid in Abuja. Look at what we did with the money. It was successful. Look at the rice. Today, nobody knows where they could buy that Nigeria rice or central bank rice that they displayed in Abuja. This additional is part of it. Nigeria is the money they gave to Nigeria under Bokwari is part of the bill. It's part of the debt that Nigeria is owing right now. So when you see somebody like that now making lies up, speaking English, you know what I mean? We are working to get the youth. I love what he said about using Nigerian gas for fata. What bollock, what nonsense. How come Tifunubu know if he talk that one himself when he had the chance? Look at his name now. His name was on the list. See? He was one of those. He was number one person to speak. Did you understand? He was the first person. They respected Nigeria so much that they gave Nigeria slot number one. Kolu disappeared. And that one is talking about, I spoke to him about gas, using gas. I spoke to their attention, nonsense. Emma Akao. You dey hear me? Emma Akao. And you will tell me later and say, how did you know? How did I not know? They try to manufacture your Eldorado paradise, where you have criminals who are angling and grouping, discussing how to make your life miserable. But they won't say that to you. All their actions will make your life miserable. They are pressing him. They said it's changed your lives. In the last 1 month, 4 weeks of Kolu, Nigeria is getting better. All of you are happy. You know, even some of you are just like, oh, I don't get strength to argue. If they say we are happy. No, see, because if I say what is inside me, if I tell you what is inside, if I should speak out, I swear it's either they will arrest me or God is not going to forgive me what I'm going to say. So if they say we are okay, then we are okay. No, I don't get strength. That's what people have become now. You are by the cost of living right now. You are living through your noses. And yet, they are telling you he's made the best decision in the last 4 weeks of your life, and you are so grateful for it. The rest of the world is looking for him. Where is he? Can he even tell us, by himself? So after the whole show and the lies and the rest, they will put together a package. African Development Bank will give Nigeria some money. What Funumbu is looking for right now, I'll tell you something, in case when that happens, okay? Don't see it as he's done anything babarao. I'll tell you this. So the reason why Nigeria Naira continue to fall and crash is because Nigeria still continue to demand for dollar, which doesn't exist anymore. Okay? Under Bokwari, they dried everything that could give them forex. They wipe everything, they wipe the slate clean to the point that there is no spear. Okay? Since Nigeria is not producing anything substantial to earn anything, right? Other than the crude oil. So what Kolu is trying to do right now is the next 2-3 months, what they want to do is to make sure that every penny they make from forex, from a crude oil sale, they will control the royalty they will get. This time, they are not going to pay anybody subsidy. So the dollar will come like in bulk. Whether not 1 billion or whether not 2 billion or whether not $3 billion so, that bulk dollars, they can collect it once in that 3 month cycle. Now, what they will do is that after like 3 months, they will now make this dollar very much available, especially for the banks. You see, what they will do different, what is planning to do different is that under Bokwari created middlemen who will take dollars. When an NPC says, we have sold crude oil, here is the dollar, they will deposit it at the central bank. The central bank will keep the money. But because they've created that middleman, the middleman, instead of central bank to make the money available for the banks, so that all of you will get businesses, okay, that needed to, get forex, dollars, whatever, you go to your bank, dollar is available. How much is the dollar? Central bank rates, 400 naira to a dollar. Now, so you go see them. But central bank who wants to determine how much you should exchange your dollar, they don't get dollar because for 8 years, there was no inflow of dollars anymore. Because instead of the money to flow to Nigeria, it was flowing into the pocket of Bokwari and his family and his friends and the oil thieves in Niger Delta. 700,000 barrels of crude oil lost every day. Do you know how much that was? So all this money never came. So at the end of the day, the Central Bank of Nigeria ran out of dollars. They tried everything. Emefiole tried everything to see how he could get dollars. But you can't get it if you don't block those loopholes. But their greed was so much that Emefiole himself, as corrupt as he is, right? He had no stamina to even push back without losing his job. So what?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to seize this opportunity to congratulate you and my colleagues for accepting to deliberate on the recommendations of the 19 committees.
Have you mentioned the name?
Mr. Chairman, my name is Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje.
Thank you.
Presidential nominee from Kano State. Mr. Chairman, I have 4 interventions to make. Intervention number 1. My first intervention is on the report of the Anti-Corruption Reforms Committee. The committee...
Sorry about that, okay? I know, it's annoying. I hope I get that sorted anytime soon. It's
Mr. Chairman, I would like to seize this opportunity to congratulate you and my colleagues for accepting to deliberate on the recommendations of the 19 committees.
Have you mentioned the name?
Mr. Chairman, my name is Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje.
Thank you.
Presidential nominee from Kano State. Mr. Chairman, I have 4 interventions to make. Intervention number 1. My first intervention is on the report of the Anti-Corruption Reforms Committee. The committee made a serious omission on the issue of granting bail.
Once again, sorry about that. So let's continue without wasting much time, okay? So what Kolu and his guys are trying to do now is this. If we stop those who are stealing the crude oil from stealing it, control that, so we get more money from having to sell, Abi. Now, if we don't pay anybody subsidy for now, that means the money that the NNPC is paying subsidy, we can actually keep that too. So if we can have a mop up dollar cash of, let's say, 2 billion or 3 billions, 3 billion in 3 months, see, imagination will go kill me, or this imagination is quite practicable. Okay, it's kind of, hand on. So they will have enough dollars, enough forex. They will remove the middlemen that Bokwari puts in between, that turned your naira to dollar to what it is today. So by so doing, then they will now give the dollars to the banks. Okay, so what that means, the banks will now have the dollar at the choosing rate of the central bank. So if everything works according to the plan, gradually, you can begin to hear that the naira to dollar is reducing at the central bank in Neo. Because if naira to dollar is still not manufacturing backed, if it's about selling crude oil and buying crude oil, it will never bring naira to 500 naira to $1. It won't. Okay? You will buy $1 for 1,000 naira under these criminals. But guess what? It will give you that temporary, that temporary satisfaction and say, we told you it's going to come down. President Tinubu is working very hard to... No, that's what they are looking at. They are looking for mop-up that they can pump into the economy. The likes of Adesina and Co., they can help them. by giving them facilities that will make those dollar available. Okay? But when you have nothing that is actually, it says something about investing in power. Are you right? They will invest in power. Sure, you get. So what they will do at the end of the day is that you have that temporary sort of satisfaction of, oh yeah, they did that now. I mean, he said he will come, it won't. But again, I don't want to have that energy from here for being too blunt and honest, okay? Because immediately after the whole drama there, they took Kolu to London. So I have a video. This was yesterday, by the way, after the Paris meet and greet. So he's here with us in the UK, and he will be back to Nigeria on Tuesday. We heard it will be in Lagos to do Ileya on Wednesday. Okay. Yeah. Right on that. I was thinking earlier that if we would take a course with this freezing back and forth and all that, right? I'm going to let us have our rest tonight. Okay. We can always have a longer chat some other time when this is completely fixed. I believe it's fixed now because I did something, and I would probably love to find it out if it worked or not. Okay. But again, thank you very much for your time this evening. Okay. I strongly believe, right, that the direction that Nigeria is actually headed with these characters, sometimes there's a saying that if your enemy is destroying himself, the right thing to do is to let them continue. You see, institutional compromise, which we have witnessed in the past, is going to kind of get even more and more and more out of under these guys, and we can see the symptoms. You're going to make criminals powerful enough that you just don't know where to cut the deal. I mean, to end the whole chase, Abby. But we will be here. I have told people many times. I said, even though we said many times that if we want to have or make any headway, indeed, if you actually love Nigeria, okay, with what you know and what is happening, right? The ideal thing is if you love Nigeria, you will encourage and support the peaceful breakup of Nigeria, where everybody can go their separate ways and all that. But some people believe that that's too harsh and it's too blunt. I mean, there is nothing that is bad that cannot be fixed. And I'm like, yeah, you are right. There are things that are bad that you don't have to waste your time in fixing, okay? But it's true. There are things that are bad. I mean, there is nothing that is bad that cannot be fixed. But you must see the sincerity from the part of those who are actually like want to fix it. But when you have a situation whereby it is like an organized crime, you get that organized crime. There are people that want Nigeria to be exactly how it is, or however they want Nigeria to be over time. So if you make effort and say, oh, we need to fight and get it right and all of that, you will see the army of those that will tell you, we will kill you if you try to challenge this that we are doing. Now, do you see the conflict of interest in that, right? Not that people are not good, that want to do good, okay? But when you have the wrong people, criminals, who have taken over institutions that could normalize things, like that should keep things normal and legal, but these institutions are now controlled by crooked criminals, right, who are never going to let go without a fight, then you realize that it is mostly a waste of time, a waste of effort in saying, no, it's nothing bad in coming together to fix something. But when you find out that what is wrong with this place is actually not by coincidence, it is deliberate. And then when you talk about the problems, and you talk about the people who actually are behind the problems, when you have all those clarity, sometimes you would rather wait for them to destroy themselves. And again, the breakup of Nigeria, which is going to happen, is not because we want it only, or because you don't want that to happen. The breakup of Nigeria is going to happen because of what you are witnessing in Nigeria today. The nepotism, the impunity, the corruption, the state profiling, the terrorism, the whole thing that you are seeing right now, they are ingredients of a failed country. And when you have a failed country,
many people are in the bank because many people are dying. Everything are doing. Pressure ti wà. Mazo Yoruba. Gbogbo nǹkan ṣẹlẹ̀ ń lu yìí. Pressure ti wà. Èyí gbogbo ṣe sọ. Ṣé ìlú lé fún wa lówó wa ànówó wá sọ wá di lazy youth. Náà ẹ sọ wá di lazy youth. Òun ni mo wà ní táìmù yìí tí mi ò lè lọ bí iṣẹ́. Kò sówó èmi kọ́ lè. Many people are in the bank because many people are dying. Everything are doing. Pressure ti wà. Mazo Yoruba. Gbogbo nǹkan ṣẹlẹ̀ ń lu yìí. Pressure ti wà. Èyí gbogbo ṣe sọ. Ṣé ìlú.
You know what? I promise to go and get this sorted, and hopefully it's not going to disgrace me this time or embarrass me this much next time. It's been like this for days now, and I was told that it could be the internet being disrupted. We have this big gig at a park that is not far from us here. So, and this has been the case since Friday. I mean, especially from Friday. And we believe that they've probably taken over the usage of our internet in this area, and it has affected us that much. So it could be the reason why I'm having that freeze. But enjoy your evening, okay? And thank you for spending part of it with me tonight. I promise to possibly get this better. Thank you. And good night.
Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun dayari Mayegun number one. Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun dayari Mayegun number one. Mayegun ti dé o ọ̀rẹ́ ará ìlú. Mayegun dayari Mayegun number one. Lórí Facebook, lórí YouTube. Mayegun dayari Mayegun number one. Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Mayegun já wa sí. Mayegun dayari Mayegun number one. Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í bò níbẹ̀ o. Mayegun dayari Mayegun number one. Bó bá ṣe eré àní Mayegun máa wí. Mayegun dayari Mayegun number one. Ó sì tún ṣe eré wàá gbọ́ níbẹ̀ o. Mayegun dayari Mayegun number one. lọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu.
Mayegun Dayare na him be number one.
Àní Mayegun làwa mọ̀ dódódódó.
Mayegun Dayare na him be number one.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé. Mayegun ti dé.
Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Lórí Facebook.
Mayegun ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Lórí YouTube.
Mayegun ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Bọ́ bàbá gbé wúrẹ́.
Mayegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Ijó ìgbádìyẹ.
Mayegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Presido bá rúfin o.
Mayegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Gómìnà kówó jẹ.
Mayegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Ọlọ́pàá tí ń darí bá.
Mayegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Aṣòfin tí ń rúfin o.
Mayegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Òpùrọ́ olóṣèlú.
Mayegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Mayegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dèrò ní fi wọ́n níran o.
Mayegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dèrò ní fi wọ́n níran.
Wọ́n fowó bẹ́ẹ̀ o. Mayegun ó sọ pé wọ́n ò bẹ́ẹ̀. Wọ́n fowó bẹ́ẹ̀. Mayegun ó sọ pé wọ́n ò bẹ́ẹ̀. Oníkan ṣáàtì ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe fáwọn ará ìlú tó gbé wọn débẹ̀ o.
Mayegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ ò ní fi wọ́n níran.
Kì máa yí ṣeré, ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kì í ṣẹ̀fẹ̀. Kì máa yí ṣeré, ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kì í ṣẹ̀fẹ̀. Ẹni bá ti lè lẹ́bọ̀ lẹ́rù o, ọmọ bá dèrò kàṣà ìtú wọn síta.
Mayegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ ò ní fi wọ́n níran.
Tẹnitẹni ọmọ Mayegun ọ̀rẹ́ ara ìlú mọ̀mọ́ ni mo fọlọ́run ṣọ́ ẹ̀ bá kìlẹ́bù. Lóòótọ́ olódodo ìlú ọ̀tá ìlú mọ̀mọ́ ni ìwọ ṣá máa ń ṣọ́ra kò sì mọ́ bẹ̀rù. Bọ́tà ń lérí bóníṣègùn lé káwọn mọ̀mọ́ fi ṣera wọn ni ó ti dẹrùn tí wọn ò gbọ́dọ̀ sì mọ́bẹ̀. Èèpo ọ̀bọ lọmọ bá dérò tàjẹ́ ò gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́, ó ti dọba lórí àbínú ẹni kò sì mọ́ bùyà. Àìsíwọ̀lú ní ẹnìkẹ́ ìgbódì ẹyin lábàrá o, ó kó ẹni tó bá dán o àkàmù. Mayegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì o. Ẹni bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dèrò òní fi wọ́n níran o.
Mayegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ ò ní fi wọ́n níran.